Hello, this video is intended to be used as a tutorial companion for laboratory assignment number 5 for Geographic Communication Today. So here I have a blank ArcMap document, and I'm going to add my data to it by clicking this Add Data button. In my Vermont GIS data folder, I see a bunch of data layers here, which I'm going to drag a box around all of them. Click Add. I will click Close if there's a coordinate system warning, and now I see these data layers added to my map. Notice this data is for the northeastern part of the US, and I have a bunch of points here in Vermont. These are city locations. So if I right-click one of these layers and choose Properties, in the Symbology tab, I can symbolize these layers in a number of different ways. I can use a single symbol, I can use categories, I can use quantities, graduated colors, graduated symbols, proportional symbols or different options, as well as charts and multiple attributes. For raster data, I have a few different options. I can symbolize using unique values, classified values, stretched values, of which there are several types, and discrete colors. So one nice cartographic effect is to mask the surrounding area around a particular site so as to emphasize that site. So I will demonstrate how to do that in ArcMap for the state of Vermont. So I'll zoom in a little bit to Vermont, and I'll right-click my state borders, choose Properties, go to the Symbology tab, and I'll use the Categories option, specifying my value field as the name of the state. I'll click the Add Values button, and I'll add Vermont, and click OK, because I just want to separate out the symbology of Vermont from everything else. So I click OK, and now I have a blue symbol for Vermont that I can change by just clicking on it in the legend. I'm going to change the fill color to no color and the outline width to nothing, and click OK. And now I see the underlying data for Vermont show up, but everything else is masked in this green color. Well, what I want is to change that to white, and I also want to edit the outline symbol . Let's see, I want to edit the symbol that's used for the outline. I'll click the outline choice here, and I'll choose something that is more representative of state borders. And then the last thing I want to do is drag this to the top of my map so that it draws last in the drawing order and effectively covers everything outside of Vermont, or at least immediately surrounding Vermont, covers it up. I also want to choose a different coordinate system for my Vermont map. This default coordinate system stretches the map a little bit too much west to east, and I want to choose a coordinate system that's specifically made for Vermont. So I'll do that by right-clicking on Layers here in the table of contents, choosing Properties. In the Coordinate System tab, we're going to choose Predefined, Projected Coordinate System, Continental, a state plane, NAD 1983 US feet. I'll scroll down, you see there's at least one of these for every state in the US. Choose the Vermont option, click OK, click Yes to the coordinate system message, and now Vermont appears a little bit more realistic, and that's how I want it to be on my map. So next I'll show how to label something. And in this case, let's say I want to label these cities. I can right click on a layer, choose Properties, choose the Labels tab, and now I have a bunch of different options. I can specify what field is going to be used to label each city. I can specify the text symbol, color, and font, as well as the placement properties. I have two choices here: conflict detection, which allows me to place the hierarchy on the weight of the label in terms of whether it's drawn above other labels or not, and then the placement option, where I can change the location in terms of where this label is placed relative to what it's labeling. There's a bunch of options here. So I'll just use the default options. I'll choose Label feature in this layer, click OK, and now I have labels of the cities on my map. So up till this point, I've been interacting with the map in Data View. If I click View up here, I see that there's Data View and Layout View options. I'm going to change over to Layout View, and now I see an 8.5 by 11 page size, which is the default page size, and now my map is one element on this page. I can drag it, move it around, I can change the size of it. I also have a bunch of other options, drawing options down here. I can insert different symbols or lines. I can insert text. So when I click on the map, a little text box appears. I can't see that too well, so I'm going to use my page layout tools up here and enlarge this portion of the page using the zoom in tool. Now this is different from my map zoom in. This is actually zooming into the page space. I can use my select element arrow here and double click on the text I just chose and change it. I can also add character spacing. Let's put a value of 200 in for this. Click OK. And now my label is spaced out as far as the characters are concerned. Now I can drag it up and put it where I want on the map. And I can use this rotate tool to rotate it to the proper orientation. I want to label the state of New York being just to the west of Vermont. To get back to see my full page layout, I can click the zoom to whole page button. Now if I want to add an additional map to my layout, I can click Insert and Data Frame. That adds a new graphic element here to my map layout. I'm going to drag it to the lower right corner here. It also adds a new frame under the table of contents. So now what I can do is click and drag layers from one data frame down to this one, and they appear in my map over here. Or I can add additional data layers. In this case, I'll add the countries and state boundaries that we've used in previous labs. And as I change things in the data frame, like symbology or layer order, the changes are reflected in my inset map. I can also go back to my map tools, and I can use these to zoom in, zoom out, or pan, and set the exact view that I want in this other map frame. By right-clicking on it and choosing Properties, I can also add things like a title. Note that that just changed my title over here so I can better organize these various map frames that I have. I can change the coordinate system of this as well. Say I want to choose something that represents the entire US, or in this case, actually this is kind of what I want to show in my view, so I'll just choose this same state plane system. For Vermont. Additional map elements can be added to the map by clicking Insert. I can add a legend, a north arrow, a scale bar, and once I add each element, if I double click it, I can customize a bunch of different things regarding each element. In this case, this is a scale line or a scale bar properties that I'm adjusting. If I insert a legend, there's a little wizard that it runs through. I'll just go through the wizard really quickly here to get our map legend on the map. And if it's not exactly how I want it to look, I can use the Select Element tool, double click it, and now I can change a bunch of different things regarding this legend and do quite a bit of customization to it. The legend is linked to the data frame, and so if I turn off a layer on the data frame, then it disappears from the legend. If I click once and then click again on the layer name in the data frame, I can type in a new name for it, and it also appears here in my legend. Notice this legend is one graphic element. Let's say that there's some of this that I want to get rid of, yet I want to keep some of it. Well, if I right-click on it, I can choose Convert to Graphics. And then if I right-click on it again, I can choose Ungroup. And now it takes each element and it takes the one element and makes it into many individual elements that I can then move around. I might need to continue to ungroup some of these. See, I want to delete that. See, I want to delete that. What I can also do with these elements is select a bunch of them by holding down the Shift key and clicking on them, and then right-clicking and choosing Align. And so I can line them up, or I can distribute them the same way, selecting them, right-clicking, choosing Distribute, and distribute vertically. Now we'll make these spaced out with equal spacing here. So after playing around with my map and following the lab exercise, this is what it should begin to look like. And that's all for now.